We are 1 week away from the United States Senate finally being back in session to create and pass the next stimulus bill. And now recurring payments are back in the news. Is it possible that they will include recurring $1,000 or $2,000 month-to-month payments in the next stimulus bill? Welcome back. This is your stimulus update for Monday, July 13th. We need to talk about this recurring stimulus thing because it is, in fact, back in the news. Let me show you these two headlines here. One is from Fox Business. The other one is from Forbes. You will notice that these two headlines are diametrically opposed to one another, and both of these came out within the last 24 hours. Fox Business says this: a second coronavirus stimulus check could face some opposition, meaning it might not even happen. And then Forbes said this: monthly recurring stimulus checks could be making a comeback. How could in the last 24 hours we have two agencies who produce completely different articles that are basically the complete opposite of each other? Who is right? Who is wrong? By the end of the video, I'm going to tell you who I believe is right and wrong and how this is going to impact the next stimulus payment. And the one that I know you want to know about is the recurring payments. Why does Forbes think they're making a comeback? I'm going to show you why Forbes thinks they're making a comeback. But before I do that, let me talk about Fox Business and why they think there could be some opposition. So here we see in their article, look at the second paragraph. Fox Business states this: the direct payment could face opposition from some Senate Republicans who have voiced concerns about the nation's ballooning deficit and are worried that checks were ineffective in providing aid to the Americans who need it most. Basically, they just threw out money to everyone, and a lot of people didn't need the money. A lot of the people did need the money. A lot of people just saved the money. So they didn't like that idea. This is why Fox Business is backing up their idea that they think it could face some opposition. In addition, we see this quote: it was a massive amount of money, not all targeted to the people who really needed it, said Senator Pat Toomey. So I'm a skeptic about whether we should do another round of that. Fox Business continued forward in trying to prove their point that the next bill could face a lot of opposition by saying Senator John Kennedy, who is also a Republican, noted last week that the United States owes $3 trillion in climbing, which does not include the $3 trillion added to the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. If you put a gun to my head, he said, tell me what's going to happen. Give me your best guess. I'd have to tell you honestly, I don't know. The article continues in the third paragraph there. There's some concerns among White House officials that the Americans pocketed the money rather than spending it, according to the Washington Post, citing a person with knowledge of the internal discussions. Since the pandemic started, U.S. bank deposits have surged by $2 trillion, buoyed by the federal government's massive relief efforts. By the way, $2 trillion of that stimulus package to the American people, only around $300 billion was spent on direct payments to the American people. If they buoyed by $2 trillion, how much are you going to blame that on the direct checks to the American people if only $300 billion? Even if half of the Americans just deposited the money, that would be only $150 billion of the $2 trillion, which means that money was not deposited by the average American person. It was deposited by the businesses and probably the millionaires and billionaires who received a ton of money from the other programs. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting off a little bit here. But anyway, this is just how Fox Business is trying to back up their point that it could face opposition. And maybe it's true. We finish this up, and then I'm going to get to the recurring payments. Is that really a possibility? The White House wants to limit the cost of the fourth coronavirus relief package at $1 trillion or less in order to maintain pivotal support from conservative Republicans. This is true. There are many people who do want to keep it $1 trillion or less, and that would be a problem and cause possible opposition to further stimulus payments to the American people. The U.S. deficit soared to $2.7 trillion. Congress has already approved 3 massive stimulus packages, so they're going to approve another massive one. And then the final thing I want to look at, it says, I think the people who have been hit the hardest are people who make about $40,000 a year or less. This is from Mitch McConnell, and this is Fox Business saying, hey, the next stimulus package could face some opposition, and these are all the reasons why. But then we have Forbes who says, wait a second, forget opposition. Monthly recurring stimulus checks could be making a comeback. How in the world is Forbes going to back up that statement? And remember, I'm going to tell you which one I think is right in just a second. Forbes says this, look down in the second paragraph there. What we know so far is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Congress will discuss a new stimulus package that is different from the HEROES Act. So their first point is it's going to be different. It's not going to be like the HEROES Act. And the HEROES Act just gives a one-time $1,200 payment. So if he's making a new one, a different one, recurring stimulus. And then it continues, though, to say that he also said that the new package might include direct stimulus checks to the American people, although the checks might be limited to those who earn $40,000 or less. This does not back up your point that it could be recurring stimulus payments. So far, Forbes, where are you coming from? This is much more watered down proposal than the $2,000 a month recurring stimulus checks from the senators, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Ed Markey. And so clearly, yes. So why are you saying recurring stimulus? I'm trying to get to the point here, and Forbes is down their article a little bit, still haven't given us any information on why they think this is the case. This is where they get their information from that they think is going to happen. Earlier this week, 156 top economists drafted a letter stressing the need for monthly recurring payments for the American people until the COVID-19 pandemic improves. Several notable economists participated in writing this letter, including Jason Furman, who used to be an economic advisor to President Obama. The letter specifically states direct cash payments are an essential tool that will boost the economic security, drive consumer spending, and hasten the recovery and promote certainty at all levels of government and the economy for as long as necessary. And so this letter written by these top economists was sent off to the government. We continue forward there. It says monthly payments could come as a great relief to Americans who are still experiencing significant job losses. So this is the one piece of information that they have. 156 top economists sent off a letter suggesting to the Congress, hey, we need recurring payments. And so this is why recurring payments could be making a comeback here. And then they also look at the jobs report. They say the jobs report left out critical information. You remember that jobs report that came out that was really good? The U.S. economy added back something like 4.5 million jobs because they were taken away. Then they were just added back. That was a really good number. But they said, wait a second, that left out a lot of information. Although it did come down from 14.7%. It remains much higher than any point during the Great Recession. So therefore, recurring stimulus payments. And then also people will begin to use their payments in a better way towards the end of the article here. So this is how Forbes backs up the idea that they think recurring stimulus payments are going to happen. So who's right? Is Fox Business right? Is Forbes right? Are we going to see more opposition happening? What's going to go on? Well, certainly there's going to be some opposition. However, what we do know is that every single major leader within Congress and within the White House has essentially voiced their approval for more stimulus checks to the American people. It would be exceedingly difficult for them to renege on that. It really would be hard. We know that this is an election year. We know that people do, in fact, need help. We know that more than 11 million people who had a job before the pandemic still do not have a job. 11 million people. And most of those individuals that are hardest hit are on the lower income levels. And we also know that that was forced by the government. The shutdown was forced by the government. And this pandemic is certainly not over. We're having increasing numbers all over the place. So with the approval of major leaders, with more than 11 million people without a job, with this being an election year, with the government forcing it to happen, and with the pandemic numbers surging, there may be some opposition to another stimulus check, but it's simply not going to be enough. Another stimulus check is going to happen. I don't think the opposition has any chance of stopping another stimulus check from going through. And you can see my chart shows that. I have that now. I'm going to put it at a 90+% chance that there will be another stimulus check. The question becomes then, who is going to get the stimulus check? Is it going to be under $40,000 only? Is it going to be the same as before? I personally believe it's going to be exactly the same. I think they're going to go exactly with what they did in the CARES Act. It's already set up. It's ready to go. The computer systems are ready to go. Send out the money real quick. They already know who's supposed to get it. They can do this quick, fast, and easy. But what about the recurring stimulus payments? You see, I have that at 0.1% on the chart. Am I going to change that up at all? No. This letter from over 140 top economists to the Congress is not going to make a recurring stimulus payment be a part of the next stimulus bill. In order to have recurring payments a part of the next stimulus bill, you can't be talking about a $1 trillion number. You can't even be talking about a $2 trillion number. You got to start off at a $3 trillion number, and that's a starting point for a stimulus package that would include something like that. We don't see that amongst our leaders anywhere, that anyone is on board with that. So whether 140 top economists sent off that letter or not is not going to push recurring stimulus payments to happen, no matter how much people might want it or how many top economists say that it's something that should occur. It's simply not going to do it. So it doesn't budge my number at all, not because I don't want it to happen or I don't think it's a good idea. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I do have my own personal opinions on it. I just don't change my number because I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's probably not going to happen. But what is going to happen is another direct payment, another check to you. By the way, I changed the unemployment one. I had it at 99%. I'm putting it at 90+% because that is technically more accurate. I also changed the numbers a little bit as far as what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be between $250 and $450. We don't know what it's going to be, but I think that's what the boost is going to go at. I also changed the payroll tax cut. I lowered that to 40% rather than 50%. I lowered Heroes Pay to 30% as well. I'm only putting the numbers in there from everything I'm seeing. This is not what I hope it's going to be for some of these things. Heroes Pay would be great for the people. I think it's a great incentive. The incentive is in the future, if you stay at your job, we will take care of you. That would be a great thing for the United States government to say to the citizens. But if they don't give out Heroes Pay, basically, if we run into another pandemic, I don't know, 10 years down the line, 12 years down the line, will people remember this? Oh, the government said that they were going to help out all the heroes who stayed at their jobs, and they didn't. Maybe, maybe not. People forget fairly quickly. So I figured I'd share these two articles with you, diametrically opposed in their opinions, but using their own data and information to back it up, and then taking a look at what's really going on, updating our chart for you guys, keeping you the most informed about what's going on. We are 1 week away. The United States Senate is going to be back in session next week on Monday. And they are going to be debating and discussing this thing. I believe they're going to put something together. They're going to construct it and vote on it and pass it, I believe, before the 1st of August. And the president is going to sign it. There's going to be some difficulties, though. There's going to be some infighting between Republicans, and then there's going to be some fighting between Republicans and Democrats. But hopefully they do get it passed and signed. Definitely, hopefully, by August 7th, because they're going to go on recess again on August 8th. Boy, I hope they don't go on recess without this thing passed. I don't think they will. I think too many people want it to get done. I hope you guys appreciated the information from this one. As always, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to have you come along with us. I would love to continue to keep you as informed as much as I possibly can. As always, I will catch you next time.